Hello everybody, my name is Status, and today we're going to be learning how to factorize quadratics. So let me set the scene for you. You're this guy. You just started your final math test. You've been studying so hard for it, And you open the question paper, and the first question you see is factorize x squared plus 5x plus 6. You see this and you have no idea what to do. And at that point, you just give up. You tear your paper, you cry yourself to sleep because you have to get a 0 because you don't know how to factorize quadratics. So I'm going to make sure that never happens to you by teaching you how to factorize. What is factorization? It's kind of like reverse expanding. So if you're expanding brackets, you would get something like 2x, x minus 2, or x plus 5, x minus 3, or something like that, right? And you would want to multiply this out and get an answer. With factorization, you start with the answer, and then you want to get to the brackets. It's reverse expanding. So how do you do it? I'm going to first start with teaching you how to do binomials, which is the easiest version of factorization. Binomials are just algebraic expressions where there's only two terms, binomial. For example, 2x squared minus 2. How you would factorize 2x squared minus 2 is you would go to each term and find the common factor between the terms. So in this case, the only common factor here is 2. So you would divide each side by 2, and then you would get x squared minus 1. Or, for example, you get something like 5x squared minus 10x. Here, you can take out a 5, and you can take out an x. You can take out 5x, and you can be left with x minus 2. The method I would use to solve this generally is I would first look at the numbers, so I can take out a 5. Then I'd look at the first variable in x, and there might be multiple variables, so it might be xy, xy squared, or something, and I try to go through each term and try to find out what's the common factors, just to keep it systematic. So here I have a few practice questions for you, and you can pause and try to solve them. Okay, if you've paused, I'm going to show you how to solve them. So first, for the numbers, you can take out a 7, and for the x's, you can take out just an x. You'll be left with x plus 4 here. Then for the next one, for the numbers, you can take out a 3. That's the common factor between 6 and 3. And for the y, you can just take out a y. And then there's only an x in this one, so there's no x in this term, which means you can't take out an x. So you'll be left with 2y plus x. Now finally, for this one, for the numbers, you can take out a 5. That's a common factor. And for the a's, you can take out an a squared because there's a squared, a cubed, so an a squared can be taken out. And you'd be left with 5 plus a. And to double check this, you can expand this out. So 5a squared plus times 5 is 25a squared, and 5a squared plus times a is 5a cubed. And you should get the answer that you started with. So that's how you can double check these. Next, it's another version of binomials, but this time it's special. It's called difference of two squares. It's basically when you have something like x squared minus y squared. It's when you have, it's basically it's self-explanatory. It's a difference between two squares, a square minus a square. And this can always be factorized as x plus y multiplied by x minus y. Because if you expand this out, you get x squared, and you get plus xy, you just get minus xy, and then minus y squared. And then these two cancels out, and you just get x squared minus y squared, which is what you started with. And you can also have numbers in front of the x's and y's to get something like 4x squared minus 9y squared. And then what you would do is that since 4 and 9 are square numbers, you can do that as 2x, because that 2x squared would give you 4x squared, and then minus 3y, because that's the square root of 9y squared, plus, and then here you can do the minus. And then if you expand that out, you would get 4x minus 6xy plus 6xy minus 9y squared. So 4x squared minus 9y squared, because in between terms cancel each other out. There's also one more case you need to know. It's when you get something like 18x squared minus 32y squared. Now 18 and 32 aren't square numbers, but what you can do is you can factorize out a 2 to get something like 9x squared minus 16y squared. Now 9 and 16 are square numbers, which means in this case you can do difference of two squares, 3x plus 4y and 3x minus 4y. And you just need to be mindful of this case, because when they tell you to factorize something, they won't tell you it's the difference of two squares. So you might just think that it's a binomial, it's a normal binomial, and factorize it like we did before. But no, you can factorize it even further, because you also have to do the difference of two squares. So here I have a few questions for you, and you can try solving them. Okay, if you've tried, I'll show you how to do it. So for this one, 49 and 36 are square numbers. The square root of 49 is 7, and so it's just going to be 7x, and you do plus 6y. And then here you can do 7x minus 6y, because the square root of 36 is 6. So that would be the answer, and if you expand this out, you get 49x squared minus 42xy plus 42xy minus 36y squared. And these cancel each other out, and you get what you started with. Okay, here, next one. These two aren't square numbers, but like I showed you, if you factorize out a 2, you can get 4a squared minus 25y squared, and they are square numbers. And you can just do a difference of two squares like you would normally do, using 2a and 5y. To get this, 2a plus 5y, and then 2a minus 5y. And then the 2 out in front. And now this one, again, these numbers aren't square numbers, but you can, again, factorize out a 2 to get 9x to the power of 4 minus 4y squared. And in this case, x to the power of 4, you can still square that. And if you take the square root of 9x to the power of 4, you get 3x squared. So that's why you get 3x squared minus 2y plus 2y, and 3x squared minus 2y. So that would be the answer for these ones. And you can always double check these by expanding them out. Now we're on trinomials, where a is equal to 1. Now what a trinomial is something with 3 terms, and it'd be something like x squared plus 5x plus 6. And what a equals 1, what that means is that there's no number in front of the x squared. It's not like 2x squared or 3x squared. It's just x squared. And how you would solve these is you need to first find two numbers that multiply to the c term, or the last number, 6 in this case, and add to the b term, or the 5 in this case. So we need to add to 5. So in this case, the numbers would be 2 and 3, because 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then 2 times 3 equals 6. And what you do with these numbers to factorize is you do x plus 2 and x plus 3. So you use these numbers inside the brackets. And if you expand this out, you should get what you started with. And you can also have negative numbers with the b term and the c term, which kind of makes it a bit more complicated. But for example, I'll show you. You can have x squared minus 8x minus 12. In this case, minus plus 12. In this case, the two numbers will be minus 2 and minus 6, because minus 2 times minus 6 will give you 12, but minus 2 plus minus 6 is just minus 2 minus 6, and give you minus 8. And then those are the answers. So how you would factor out is x minus 2 and x minus 6. Okay, so now here I have some questions for you. Okay, if you have done them, I'll explain them. For this one, the c term is 12, you want to multiply to that and add to 8. So two numbers that multiply to 12 would be 6 and 2, and they also add to 8. So you will get x plus 6 and x plus 2. If you want to, you can list out all the factors of the C term, and then it's just trial and error, or you can just know sometimes. Here for this one, they want to add to 24 and multiply to 24 and add to minus 11. So in that case, the two things would be 3 minus 3 and minus 8. I don't know why I put them in brackets, but yeah. And then how you would use them is x minus 3 and x minus 8. So that would be how you would solve that. Now we're on trinomials where a is not equal to 1. Now this is like, for example, 2x squared minus 11x plus 12. In this case, it's 2x squared. And this, you can't just do the normal method. Here you have to do something a bit different. So basically what you have to do is you have to do what we call the AC method, where you have to multiply the A term and the C term, or the first number and the last number, so 2 times 12, and that gives you 24. And then we use that as the thing you have to multiply to, and then still the minus 11 is the thing you have to add to, and then so some two numbers that multiply to 24 and add to minus 11 would still be minus 8 minus 3. And now what we do, instead of immediately putting in the brackets, we do this. We split up the minus 11x to be minus 8x minus 3x plus 12. And then since minus 8 minus 3 would give you minus 11, this is the same thing as that. And what you would do is you want to take this part and then factorize it like a binomial, and take this part and factorize it like a binomial. So for example, if you would take a 2, it's x squared, you would take a 2x out of here to leave you with x, and then minus 4. And then here you would still take out a minus 3 from here, and then it would leave you with x minus 4. And then if you do this correctly, these two should be the same. Sometimes you have to switch the order, maybe you have to do minus 3 here and then minus 8 here. But in this case, I did do it correctly, and you get x minus 4 here and x minus 4 here. Now what you can do is you can just do the numbers in front in a bracket, 2x minus 3, and then this number, this term in a bracket, x minus 4. And then that will give you the fully factorized form of a trinomial. And now finally, here we have a few questions, and you can pause and try to solve them. Okay, if you try and solve them, I'll show you how to do them. So for this one, 2 times 5 equals 10, and things that multiply to 10 and add to 7 is 2 and 5. So you would split that up into 2 and 5. So you get 2x squared plus 2x plus 5x plus 5. Then you would factorize out here a 2x, x plus 1, and then 5x plus 1, and then we did it correctly because these two are the same, and you get 2x plus 5, x plus 1. Here, 6 times 2 equals 12. Something that multiplies to 12 and adds to 13 would be 1 and 12. So then you can split that up into 1 and 12. So you would get 6x squared plus 12x plus x plus 2. And then you take out a 6x here, get x plus 2. And then you would take out a 1 here because this is already x plus 2. So you just take out a 1, or you don't have to write that. You just have to know in the end, you just have to do 6x plus 1 and then x plus 2. And that would be the answer. And finally, we have the last question in this video, which is 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. So what you want to do is you want to do 8 times negative 3 to get negative 24. What multiplies to negative 24 and adds to 10 well, that would be 12 and minus 2, because 12 times minus 2 is negative 24, and 12 plus minus 2 is 12 minus 2, which is 10. So you would split that up like this. You would do 8x squared minus 2x plus 12x minus 3, and then here you would factorize out a 2x to get 4x plus or minus 1, and then here you would factorize out a 3 to get 4x minus 1. That's supposed to be a minus. And then finally you get 2x plus 3, and then 4x minus 1. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments, please. I'll answer them. And please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. This is my first video. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions for any more topics you need explaining, please put them in the comments. I'll link a practice questions for these factorizations in the description. And thanks for watching. See you next time.